Did he walk in his sleep?
Not that I know. Mabel did try to stop him. You can usually stop a sleepwalker.
Well, perhaps the whole thing is just an elaborate hoax. Oh, I can understand why he wouldn't want to talk to the exciseman.
Yeah, but the footprints only went one way.
Surely he wasn't in so much trouble that he'd willingly walk to his death.
You don't think there's anything to do with Puranui and his power?
More likely something to do with Mabel and her tongue. Coming, ladies and gentlemen.
Tom?
Morning, Sergeant.
Well, I suppose I owe you an apology, young man.
That's all right, Sergeant. Oh, we all make mistakes. Actually, there was something I was going to tell you.
Oh?
Well, last night, Davy and I were coming back by the shortcut behind the butchery. And, well, we came across Sid. He didn't see us, but he was digging a hole by the light of a lantern and glancing around all over the place to make sure no one was looking.
Who else?
Well, we're not sure, but to us it looked like a grave.
A grave?
Yes. At least that's what we think it was.
Oh, and I suppose you think that this had something to do with Mr. Dwyer's disappearance, huh?
Yes.
Or that Sid, either on his own or in league with someone, had the butcher put away?
Yes.
Oh. Tell your father?
No, I didn't think he'd believe me.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Now, just because you've been recommended for a reward, young lad, doesn't mean that you can waste my time whenever it takes your fancy. I'm in enough trouble with those blasted excise men without looking an even bigger fool than I am. And I'll thank you to keep the delusions of that far-fetched imagination of yours to yourself.
Grandfather?
Hmm?
Are you going ahead with your grand hotel?
Of course. I'm having it surveyed this afternoon.
Aren't you just a little worried about what's been happening?
Tell me, what's been happening?
Well, Mr. Dwyer's disappearance. And the tapu.
Tapu. I am sick of that word. You went into a tapu cave and you seem to be all right.
Yes, I know, but
Well, you shouldn't pay much attention to what people tell you around here. It's an isolated community and people can go a little strange in the head.
Christopher as well?
Oh, you've been talking to him.
He hasn't been here much longer than us.
Well, then we're probably going as well.
Before the big eruption, the hot pools started to boil over. Christopher says it's happening again.
And how does he know what happened?
From the Maoris.
Oh, of course, that's it. What you don't realize, Sarah Jane, is that the Maoris don't want us here. They're afraid of civilization. They can't see the benefits. And they invent these stories to explain what they can't understand. The missionaries have had this problem with them all the time.
But what if they're not stories?
But of course they're stories. They're heathens. It's the way they live their lives.
The Maoris go to church?
Well, they like the songs.
First European settlers arrived in this area in 1830. And the first mission station was established 5 years later. Just down there, beyond those trees. So, unfortunately, it was destroyed the following year during an intertribal conflict.
What are they doing?
What?
Those Maoris over there.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen them before. They're probably just passing through. Don't worry. They're quite harmless.
Morning.
Ah, hello there.
Sir Charles?
Ah, you must be Robertson.
That's right. Pleased to meet you.
Don't you have an assistant?
Well, that's the problem, Sir Charles. The Maori fellow I had working for me, he refused to come.
What?
Refused to have anything to do with it. Said it was more than his life was worth.
Mutinous savages.
So I'm afraid I won't be able to do the job, Sir Charles. Not till I'm able to get someone.
Fiddlesticks.
I beg your pardon, Sir Charles?
Fiddlesticks, I said. Get your equipment.
But you don't understand. I need someone to hold the...
I will.
You, Sir Charles?
Not difficult, is it? Then don't stand there dithering, man. Get your equipment and come down here.
Well, you know good villain. He wouldn't believe me.
I'm not surprised. How do you know he was burying a body?
Well, what else do you put in the 6-foot hole?
But why?
Mabel could have wanted Doomy out of the way. Sid would have done what he was told.
What? Murder?
If she told him to.
Don't be ridiculous.
Sid was the last person to see Doomy alive. Ask him out. Now, if Doomy had wanted to fake his disappearance by pretending to walk into that pool, he'd get Sid to help him.
What about the footprints? They only went one way.
Watch. Then he left his hat beside the pool so we don't think that's what happened. I say it's Sid that's behind Doomy's disappearance, and if you don't believe me, I'll prove it.
How?
Dig him up.
Huh?
We'll dig up whatever it was Sid buried. Tonight, at 8:30. Are you with me? Davy?
Here.
Emma? We'll meet at the jetty. I won't ask you two to come. It won't be a sight for girls.
Now, if you could move to the left. Further. That's it. Hold it there. Sir Charles? Top peg, thank you.
To ask of me, a woman in her grief.
Well, I'm sorry, Mrs. Dwyer, but there's certain questions.
Patrick Dwyer, God rest his soul, was the sweetest, kindest, most law-abiding man that it's ever been my good fortune to know. As a husband, the man was a saint. As a member of the community, an example to all who knew him. And if that ungrateful wretch of an apprentice said he had Sydney's dared to breathe one word against him, may the merciful mother make him suffer in hell.
Why should your apprentice want to speak against him, Mrs. Dwyer?
What? Oh, well, I don't know. The lad's a fool. He'd say anything to save his skin.
Then you think perhaps Sid was involved?
Oh, he'd take the credit for it. That's the kind of fool he is, so he'd look important.
The credit for what, Mrs. Dwyer?
Selling grog to the Maoris.
But if it wasn't Sid, then who was it?
Well, I don't know, do I?
Mrs. Dwyer, we have evidence that links your husband and Sid to the cave where the still was found.
What evidence?
They were seen to enter or leave the cave on at least 2 separate occasions.
You call that evidence? They could have been fishing.
Fishing?
Let's just go back to the beginning, shall we? Have you any reason to believe that your husband was involved in any form of illicit trade with the Maoris?
My husband, my dear departed husband, whose only fault was a generous heart and unflagging honesty even in the face of disaster, would probably turn in his grave if he had one, if he knew what you were asking. The man was a saint, I tell you, a saint. Why else do you think I married him?
Morning.
Morning.
We'll talk with you again later.
What are you doing, Parker?
Beg your pardon?
What is this?
It's an instrument for measuring the acidity of a liquid.
You are on Maori land.
Oh, but I'm not doing any harm.
Then you are not like other Pākehās.
I'm trying to measure thermal activity. You see, I'm a scientist. Well, the hot pools have been more active lately, and...
Why are you doing this?
Why? I have this theory. That is, I believe there's some connection, some link between what happens here and the mountain. That it might be possible to be able to foretell whether there's going to be an eruption.
And why do you need all of this to tell you such a simple thing?
How else should I find out?
Look around you, Pākehā.
At what?
When the Pohutukawa blooms early, the summer is long. When the pools are angry, the mountain will stir from its sleep.
Then you know what's happening.
You should ask, Pākehā, not what is happening, but why. He tino kuia te tangata. Hare a mātou.
You know, this tarple business is getting out of hand. I saw this band of Maoris, mostly young fellows in the distance, and then they moved off.
You saw them too?
Yes. Who were they?
I don't know. I saw them setting up camp this morning. Oh, they don't belong around here.
Anything to do with that old fellow, you know, what's his name? T.
Brunui? Not as far as I know. So, I asked Gilfillan to keep an eye on him.
Fat lot of good that'll do. We've got more to fear from them than we have from Christopher's exploding mud pools. Maybe Gilfillan is right. Perhaps he does need extra assistance. I'll drop a line to his superiors in Auckland. Shouldn't take much. Show strength and these natives fall to pieces. Got a gun, James?
I've got a shotgun.
Might pay to keep it loaded.
Oh, it's you.
What did you expect?
Oh, well, I came across some Maoris just down on the flat. And
They wouldn't dare harm you. They'd be answerable to me.
how reassuring. I hadn't seen them before. Well, they seemed quite ferocious. I wonder if they were the same Maoris that Tom saw.
Oh, who knows? Anyway, who cares?
You know what they said?
Who?
All those Maoris.
That you had such beautiful eyes.
Oh, Emily.
Oh, you don't love me, do you?
Well, of course I love you.
But you never talk to me about anything except mud pools and Maoris.
Oh, Emily, I'm sorry.
You never tell me I've got beautiful hair or beautiful eyes or beautiful skin or beautiful anything.
Oh, Emily! Oh, shut up.
No, Christopher, don't kiss me. Don't kiss me. Christopher.
What was that?
Perhaps it was those Maoris come back to get you.
Oh, Emily, I'm sorry for what happened this afternoon.
And I asked you not to kiss me.
Emily, would you care to go for a stroll? Perhaps?
You're late. I couldn't get out. What's the time? It must be way after 9. Then where's Hemmer? He's probably got cold feet. Come on then. Tom, do you think we should? What if it is Doomy's body? I don't know. Tell Gilfillan. What if Sid gets to us first? If he's done it once, he could do it again. There'll be 3 of us, so there's nothing... Tom!
you been? Come on. It's a hide. Hey, what's that? It's a brand. It's difficult to tell in the dark.
Let's go up to the bakery and have a look at it in the light.
It's a cowhide, all right. Some sort of brand.
Why did Sid want to bury it? You can get good money for those.
Hasn't been dead long.
Why did he bury it?
Your mother?
She's at a church meeting.
What was it?
A ghost?
David, hello. What's the matter? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Every one of them ripped from the ground. Some thrown in the lake. All that time and effort down the drain. Well, do you have any ideas?
No, Sir Charles, I haven't.
Well, I have.
Those Maoris I told you about. Sir Charles thinks it could be them.
No quid about it. It's as plain as the nose on your face.
You can't go jumping to conclusions.
Jumping to conclusions. And who do you think it might be? Mabel Dwyer?
Oh, of course not.
Well, do your duty, Gilfillan.
Yeah, well, I'll talk to them, of course, but... No, I'll talk to them.
I'll come with you, if you like.
It won't be necessary, James. Unless, of course, you'll want to. Come on.
I'll be back for you shortly, Sir Charles.
Ah, Robertson. Same again, I'm afraid. Well, no use standing about. Come on, man, you survived it yesterday.
Did you find the skin?
Nah, it's gone. And there are these footprints by the flower bin. That's how he got the white face. He must have fallen in.
But why did he want to get it back? Why was it so important?
Why did Sid bury it in the first place?
What did you find? Or is it too gruesome to say? Well, it wasn't Doomy. He isn't even dead. Then he didn't walk into the pool. I told you it was all a trick. You told us he'd been murdered.
We're the only ones who know he's alive. He'll be out to get us now.
Why don't we tell the excise men?
Even they wouldn't believe us this time. Then what are you going to do? I wish I knew.
Taiho, Taiho.
Who are you? Where'd you come from and what are you doing here?
Is something wrong, Sergeant?
Yeah, you might say that. A small question of some survey pegs. Up there on the land at the head of the lake. Someone pulled them out.
And you think it might have been us?
We have no trouble around here before.
Oh? Didn't somebody smash a hut full of grog?
So that was you as well.
Not as well, Sergeant. We didn't touch the peg.
Didn't you? Why'd you wreck the hut?
Because it was full of Y piddle. Rot gut, poisoning our people.
Why didn't you come and see me?
You destroyed our only evidence. We've been after those groggers for months.
Then you lie. If you wanted to, you could have smashed them like that. The Parker would like to see the Maori die out. From the Parker's diseases and his poison. Then the Parker would have the land.
There's an Act of Parliament making it illegal to sell grog to the Maoris.
An Act of Parliament? What good is that? What good are your laws, Sergeant, when people like you do nothing?
Now, you listen to me. And listen good. I'll have no trouble round here. Not with vigilantes or anything at all. Because if I do, I'll bring the army in to teach you a lesson. Just like the one that we taught you before. If force is the only language you understand, we'll give you force. Oh, that put them in their place. Ha!
You shouldn't play such rough games, Tom.
It's not his fault, Mrs. Gregory. I caught it on a nail.
Well, what were you doing at the bakery, anyway?
Davy wanted to show us something.
Show you what?
Nothing.
More of your gang's silly secrets.
Christopher's left his jacket behind. He'll catch his death of cold.
Oh, he'll be all right.
Oh, I'll take it to him.
Tom, you be careful of those Maoris.
I'll be all right. I've met them before. I don't think they'd hurt anyone.
Oh, sometimes I fear for him terribly.
Tom?
No, Christopher.
Surprised you came along, then. Thought the Myers could do no wrong. Well, I wasn't going to bother. Well, I saw James here bring his gun. Perhaps I see myself as the voice of reason.
Yeah, well, you needn't have bothered. Because nothing will get out of hand. Listen, hey? Tom!
Emily sent me. Christopher got his jacket.
Well, don't stand there, get down.
You can go back with Sir Charles. I'm not going back.
There's no need for us all to stay, Sir Charles. Anyway, I doubt if they'll try it again. Not after my little lecture.
That is, of course, if it's them.
If only they knew what I did. But it's really Doomy Dwyer that pulled the pigs. But what could I say after telling Gilfillan he'd been murdered by his own apprentice? They'd never believe me. It's quite a responsibility knowing so much all the time. Grown-ups can't take the truth unless it's crystal clear. And they only think of themselves. Christopher in his hot pools. Father in his bathhouse. Sir Charles in his grand hotel. And as for the sergeant, I bet he wishes he was home in bed. I wonder if they all showed promise like me when they were young.
Look, down by the water. Stay where you are. Oh, go on, James. That's fair enough.